Garbage. Joining me now to discuss Arkansas Congressman French Hill, along with Texas Congressman Van Taylor. Gentlemen, welcome. Congressman Hill, we begin with you first. Will this plan reduce the deficit?
Certainly not. This is the Build Back Worse plan. And Joe Biden is contributing to the inflationary expectations by having too much fiscal spending. And what Republicans want, and I'll let my colleagues speak as well, we want to go back to pre-2019 spending levels and the economy. We want a cap deal. We want to reduce federal spending. We want to target federal spending. And none of that is on Joe Biden's agenda. He's doubling down on spending money that we don't have, and it's contributing to the inflationary expectations that all of our families, retirees, and businesses are facing.
Yeah, Congressman, reducing spending, that would be a refreshing change. Congressman Taylor, Biden also says that his plan won't add a dime to our debt. Is that true, sir?
Absolutely not. This plan has used a whole series of accounting gimmicks where they start spending for year one, and then they stop spending 2 or 3 years into it, and then it has other programs that begin in year 7 and then keep going. So the estimates are that while it will leave the country with increased deficit spending in the order of hundreds of billions of dollars a year, further exacerbating the United States' already terrible fiscal picture. This is a disaster. And just to build on what French just said, the Economics 101 says that if you've got inflation, the key is to cut government spending. The Democrats don't seem to care about that. They're pouring it on, and this is going to add to the economic misery of our country, to our fellow Americans, by increasing spending money we don't have, and accelerating inflation.
Yeah, what the hell? They're rich. They don't care. It doesn't hurt them. It only hurts the working poor the most. Congressman Hill, third quarter growth in our economy dropped to a paltry 2%. This is the worst quarter in the pandemic recovery. Are we finally seeing Biden and his party's socialist policies taking hold?
Exactly. It's more mandates. It's more regulation. It's penalizing the energy industry, American business. It's keeping small businesses and big businesses from bringing jobs back. And it's exact opposite of what we thought would be the case as we come out of the pandemic. We have unsurpassed demand, but we don't have people back to work. People have help wanted signs everywhere. And that's because this policy, as Van said, is run by a group of economic illiterates. And they are taking us in the wrong direction. And we need to free the American business and the American family with choice and get people back to work. And the Biden regulatory policies on mandates and the tax policies that are proposed are going to hurt business, and it's caused uncertainty. And when business is uncertain, they don't invest. To Van's point about the revenue side of this bill, these are all revenue gimmicks. They're not going to pay for this bill. 2 weeks ago, the IRS snooping provision raised $200 million, or $200 billion. In this version today, it raises $400 billion. Why don't we hire 200,000 agents and maybe it'll raise $1 trillion? I mean, it's just preposterous.
Okay, Congressman Taylor, the Attorney General refuses to answer direct questions over his clearly unethical actions, using the FBI to crack down on parents seeking a redress of grievances from GovEd, their government. Some conservatives believe his actions are unbefitting a U.S. Attorney General. Number one, do you agree? And then if you do agree, sir, what will you do to force Merrick Garland out of office?
Well, let me just say that the Biden administration gets it wrong again and again. I mean, they literally hand an entire country, the country of Afghanistan, to terrorists, and then they turn around and try to say parents that show up to school board meetings and disagree with their school board that they're the terrorists. I mean, this administration over and over and over again gets it wrong. Merrick Garland, just a dismal performance in front of the Senate yesterday. He had an equally horrendous performance in front of the U.S. House of Representatives Judiciary Committee last week. He failed to answer questions that he couldn't answer yesterday. He was asked those exact same questions last week. He couldn't give answers then, and he couldn't give answers yesterday. It's unbelievable. He already knew what the questions on the test were, and he couldn't get it right. It is shocking that the Attorney General of the United States would have these kind of ethical conflicts and not even begin to see them or deny that they even exist. It's outrageous, and it's really shocking that what Democrats can do.
I'm almost out of time, gentlemen. Can I get 30 seconds from you both on this next question? I want to ask about GovEd. This system is a complete failure because it's been infested with Marxists. It's given our money without having to earn it. And it's responsible for putting porn on school library shelves in Texas and protecting rapists in Loudoun County, Virginia. Question to you, Mr. Hill, first. Does a lawmaker who opposes school choice belong in political office?
I don't think so. You know, in Arkansas, we have a fantastic charter school program. We led in the states on creating public charter schools to give families and others the opportunity at the lowest incomes. But the Biden administration, the Pelosi leadership in the House is the opposite. In fact, John Boehner, the former speaker, set up a scholarship program using DC tax dollars to benefit the poorest kids here in the District of Columbia. What did Pelosi do? Zero it out. The low expectations and the terrible performance of our public school system, we must give the poorest families and the neediest families a choice for a great education because that unlocks opportunity for them.
Congressman Van Taylor, 30 seconds for me, sir. Does a politician who does not believe in giving parents the power, do they belong in political office?
I've been on record strongly supporting school choice for many years. You want to give parents control of their education. And let me say this, education is best when parents are in control, when you have local control, when parents get to say what the future is of their children. And I think that we have an obligation to make sure that every child, whether they're going to private school, whether they're being homeschooled, whether they're going to a whether they're going to a public charter school, or whether they're going to traditional public school, regardless of the choice they make, we want all of those choices to be great. And that's the only way to make sure we have the greatest nation on earth.
Congressman French, Hill, and Congressman Van Taylor, gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.